Hello, Usha. Check the mic.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes,
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
yes. Check the mic.
Yes, is it clear?
Why is it repeating?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
How long? Allah, the feedback is so late.
Yes, is it clear?
Why?
Why is it repeating?
Hmm.
Allah, the feedback is so late.
Why is it repeating?
Requirement slides that's with me.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you introduce and then we will see whether.
Hello, good morning, sir. I welcome everyone for this webinar.
Yeah, okay. അതാണ്
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
So good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir? Nice to see you.
Can I see you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. I'm using the same link you had sent yesterday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's all good. Like
And
we are able to see you and we are able to hear you well.
yeah. Okay. Fine.
So we will start exactly at 11. So people will start
Sure.
joining at 11. So
Sure,
we will
sure.
wait till
Yeah.
then.
That will
Thank
be
you so
great.
much.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Today the sound is clear. Your voice is not breaking. Yesterday there was some breakage.
Dr. Imran, can you please unmute? Yes, sir. Today we have been using the caller mic and then
It's very clear.
so we have done our like we
Yeah.
rehearsed also. It's quite clear to everybody. So we will use this only.
Yeah.
Yours is also very clear, sir. Sound
Yeah.
is well.
Thank you. Okay.
Our Vice Chancellor is on the way, sir.
Oh, all right. Okay. Is he joining us at the commencement or later?
She used to be the director of SWIMS, Tirupati. TTD run Super Speciality Institute, sir. Ma'am is here.
Okay.
One second.
What is her name?
Dr. Vengamma, ma'am, sir. She's here. She will.
Okay. Okay. Good. What is her
Yeah.
discipline?
Dr. Vengamma, ma'am, is a neurologist and she used to be the director of SWIMS, TTD run Academy. Ma'am is here.
Okay. Okay. Oh, good. Good.
Good morning, sir. I think you.
Very, very good morning. So happy that you could join us for this event.
I was basically neurologist, sir, trained from Nimhans.
Oh, yes. Okay. Mhm.
I was at Tirupati for almost 3 decades.
Oh, very good.
Now for last 2 years I'm here.
Oh, very good.
Nice that you're
Yes.
taking today's.
Yeah. I have been a visitor to your university earlier. I have come there. I have been on your board as well earlier.
I would like to introduce Dr. Muninarayan, sir,
Yeah.
our registrar.
Yes.
He used to be the HOD of community medicine and
Yes.
over to you.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, sir. I am Dr. Naryan, a professor in community medicine.
Very good morning. Yeah.
And I was the controller of examination earlier.
Oh,
And
yes.
now,
Yes.
currently, I am the registrar of the academy, sir.
Oh, very good.
So
Yes.
we had,
have met. I think we have met.
yes, sir, many
Yes.
occasions we met, and I am also was the MU member,
Okay.
medical education unit member earlier.
Okay. Good.
So, nice to have you, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
So we have also made you the co-host. So in case,
All right. Okay. Okay.
in case we
Hmm.
have any technical glitch,
Yeah.
the event will continue until even the few
Yeah.
seconds we didn't want it to.
Yeah. Sure.
So 3 more minutes. Yeah. We will start in 2 minutes.
Sure. Sure. Take your time. No problem.
Wait. Video on one. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of University Center for Health Professions Education, Sri Devaraja's Academy of Higher Education and Research, we are so proud to have the most erudite Dr. Ramnarayan sir with us. And as a part of our webinar series, we have been reaching health profession educators all over the globe. So there's a lot of interest expressed by educators, especially from the interesting part is of late, it is interdisciplinary. So the educational technology principles have been embraced by all the health profession educators and they look forward to know more. And Dr. Ramnarayan sir has been a very inspiring role model for health educators. So to have him consent and deliver this session, it's indeed a fortunate thing for all of us. So over to Dr. Usha Shanai to introduce Dr. Ramnarayan sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Usha Shanai, Assistant Professor from the Department of Allied Health Science. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce our guest, Dr. Professor Ramnarayan, a visionary, leader, and distinguished academic in the field of medical education. He currently serves as Pro-Chancellor of Sikkim Manipal University, Emeritus Professor of Medical Education at Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Sir is Chief National Coordinator for DTH, Swayamprabha, Medicine Content Development, Ministry of Education, Government of India. In his illustrious career, he has also served as Vice Chancellor of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Vice President for Faculty Development of MAHE, Chairperson of Manipal University, Jaipur, and Dean of Malacca Manipal Medical College. Sir's academic journey starts with MBBS from Stanley Medical College, Chennai, and MD in Pathology from Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, and postgraduate diploma in higher education from IGNOU. Coming to Faculty Development Program Oration Awards, he has also been awarded international fellowship, including the ECFMC Foreign Faculty Fellowship for Basic Science and FAMA Short-Term Exchange Fellowship in Academic Leadership. Over the last 35 years, Sir has been a resource person for more than 600 faculty development programs, shaping the future of teachers and students across India and abroad. His remarkable contributions has been recognized through numerous prestigious orations. A few to name them: the Academy of Health Profession Education National Oration in Dehradun, Dr. Rita Sood Memorial Oration and Lifetime Achievement Award by MEU India, MR Parthasarathi AV Ramprasad KCIAPM Oration, the SDM University Oration in Dharwad, and the latest Professor PV Bhandari Memorial Oration of Engineers Day at MIT, and on May 2025, which we had at KMC Mangalore, Platinum Jubilee Medical Education Oration. His dedication has also been recognized beyond academic with Bloomberg UTV B School Excellence Award for Outstanding Contribution to Education, the New Year Award 2014 from Distinguished Achievement in Education. So ladies and gentlemen, let's join today for this webinar. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Can I share my screen? Can I share the screen, please?
Live ನಮ್ಮಿದೆ.
Live ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು sound. Sound.
Can you hear me? Can you see what I have projected? Can you hear me and can you see what I have projected? Can you see what I have projected?
Yes, sir, we can see you.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
we
And
can
also
see
we
you.
can.
All right. Okay, fine. And you can also hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Greetings to each and every one of you. And I'm extremely happy to invite you to join me in this journey. This journey is titled Evolving Paradigms in Medical Education, a journey from antiquity to artificial intelligence. I have to commence with a disclosure that this was an oration I gave on 31st May 2025 in connection with the KMC Mangalore Platinum Jubilee. And there was a conference there. And I gave the oration at this conference, and at the request of SDU AHR, we thought we will share whatever I shared with all the participants there again. And therefore, I have to start off with this disclosure. I will begin with the definition of an oration. An oration is typically a formal, lengthy speech delivered.
Solution, AC Bharat solution. AC Bharat solution. Pandranga.
The slide is. Okay. An oration is. An oration is defined as a formal, lengthy speech delivered in a high-flown, pompous manner. The slide is not changing. Okay. My presentation today is not in any way formal. It's going to be very informal. It will be very short. It's not a lengthy speech. And there'll be nothing high-flown and nothing pompous about it. It will be very down-to-earth and simple. There is another definition of oration, which way back in 1945 was defined as the art of making deep noises from the chest, sound like important messages from the brain. I will endeavor not to do this also. So my attempt is to share something with you, which basically is a journey in medical education through 4 decades of my publications. When I look back at the 4 decades of my involvement in medical education, I had 83 publications, and in the first decade, I had 8 publications, which I have grouped in the term era of pedagogical transition and assessment innovation. In the second decade, 21 publications, which I have grouped as the era of learner-centered reform. In the third decade, the era of learner perception and curriculum evaluation, 39 publications were there. And in the fourth decade, the era of self-determined learning, 15 publications. So this actually is the spread of the publications in the last 40 years. Let me begin with the first decade, the era of pedagogical transition and assessment innovation. This was the era prior to Scopus, prior to Web of Science, prior to Q1, Q2. No one heard about these things at that time. And my initiation into medical education happened in Jipmer, Pondicherry in the year 1985, when I attended the National Teacher Training organized at Jipmer, Pondicherry. I have shown you where I am because I have undergone some morphological changes since then. And this was an eye-opener for me. And as part of this training, I had to undertake a project. The project I undertook, in fact, that was my first publication in medical education. The use of multiple choice questions to enhance learning. We always associated multiple choice questions when we wanted to assess. The project that I did was how to use multiple choice questions in learning. And 2 publications emerged from this project. And this was basically the beginning of my publication journey in medical education, how MCQs can also be used to learn, and that is in formative assessment. The year after, in 1986, I had an opportunity to go to the US as part of the ECF MG Foreign Faculty Fellowship for 1 year. That fellowship brought me in contact with a group which called itself the Group for Research in Pathology Education, GRIPE as they call it. Their focus was on enhancing the skills of teachers, particularly the pathology teachers, in their role as an academic. And I became a member of this group. And then when I was completing my fellowship year, I told these people that I am leaving for India. I need to continue my membership. Please give me a life membership. They said they have no such provision of life membership. It is only an annual membership of $45, which has to be paid every year. I mentioned to them that it is going to be difficult. I'm talking of 1986. I told them it will be extremely difficult for me to be paying this every year once I go back to India. And I told them, kindly give me, it'll be nice if you can give me a life membership. They said they have no such provision. Then I told them in India, we have something called life membership, which is actually 10 years subscription paid lump sum. They accepted this proposal and they made me the life member, the only living life member of GRIPE. This continued for several decades till recently when this group died. But this life member is still living and talking to you. So they never imagined that this life member is going to outlive that organization. Anyway, that happened. So that is how I got involved and associated with GRIPE and its activities. Around that time, a department of medical education was established in Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, under the headship of Professor A. Krishna Rao, at a time when it was not necessary for a medical college to have a medical education department. I'm talking of 1985. long before it became a requirement. And this department was formed primarily to equip medical teachers with skills required for them to function more effectively as teachers. The role of a medical education department was enunciated in a publication, the Bulletin of Pathology Education, way back in 1991. What are all the avenues in which the Department of Medical Education can contribute? So that's how this publication came about, basically to let people know why a medical education department, what does it do, and how it can be an effective service department in a medical college. Around that time, I wrote an article on OSPE, Objective Structured Practical Exam. Now, mind you, when I wrote this in 1990, they ridiculed me saying, "What have you written? It is nothing but spotters, glorified spotters. You have not said anything different." It was very difficult to convince people that practical examinations can be done differently. Today, of course, we have accepted practical examinations. OSPE is being done regularly, even though still people are reluctant in some places to have OSPE. But the fact is that more or less OSPE has become a way of life in practical assessment. And in 1990, when the first publication came, there were several questions asked. What is it that OSPE can do? And they wanted to still have the conventional approach to having the practical examination. At that time, I attempted to do what is known as non-lecture. Now, please remember, those days, flipped classroom, that word was not there. It is only today it has come. Those days, there's no such thing as flipped classroom. So I wanted to attempt to do things other than lecture, so that there is more learning, more activity, and more involvement. And that is what I called as non-lecture. When I had to do this, I was told very clearly that I cannot do this during the working hours. Whatever experiments you do in non-lecture will be outside the working hours, because whatever you do cannot be counted as per the regulatory bodies. So I went ahead and did, and I was surprised that large number of students participated, but that also gave me an opportunity to document it. And I published this lecture versus non-lecture in teaching of pathology way back in 1995. Of course, today, everybody talks about flipped classroom, and it is something which you are expected to do today. But those days, that word itself was not there. In early 1990s, Manipal University started a unique experiment of recognizing and rewarding good teaching and research. We were the first university to actually go ahead with a policy for recognizing teaching and research and rewarding the teachers and researchers. This was very well received, and we had several requests on what were the parameters on which we were doing this, and we published this in the bulletin of the Association of Indian Universities, that is University News, way back in 1995. Now, of course, there is a very conscious effort to recognize teaching and research, of course, more research, but the fact is that the recognition and rewarding of teaching and research has become much more prevalent today. And those days, it was almost unheard of. So we were initiators in starting this program. Came the second decade of learner-centered reform. We signed an agreement with the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, Port of Spain, Trinidad, for a twinning program, MBBS twinning program, where students do 2.5 years in Manipal campus, do their clinical training in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Signing of this agreement brought with it certain very positive aspects in the curriculum. One was problem-based learning. We have never heard of problem-based learning at that time. We heard something about it, and we learned about problem-based learning. We also learned about what is known as a clinical skills laboratory. Today, every medical college has a skills laboratory. Those days, these things were unknown, unheard of. So we established a clinical skills laboratory, perhaps the first in the country. And we also had what is known as a multi-purpose lab. The usual functioning is that when you have 6 subjects in pre and paraclinical, each subject has a lab. Multi-purpose lab says that you have only one lab, which all the 6 departments can use, which means you utilize the time in such a way that the laboratory is utilized by all the 6 departments. There's no need for you to have one department, one laboratory. This concept, of course, was not acceptable for the Indian regulatory bodies, but we were able to do it. And multi-purpose laboratory was effectively utilizing all the resources that we had in terms of human resources as well as the facilities. So in that one lab, all the 6 departments used to have their practical examinations. So that is what I documented in a publication, the Clinical Skills Laboratory and Multi-Purpose Laboratory in a Problem-Based Curriculum. This came in the Indian Journal of Pathology and Microbiology. This program with the University of the West Indies had a very unique feature that the quality control is given by external examiners who come from different countries. Could be US, could be Canada, could be Australia, could be UK. And at the end of the 2.5 years, the assessment involves these examiners. And here is a picture that shows the external examiners who were there, who had come from different parts of the globe to assess the students. I have shown you in the front row the Chancellor of our university, Dr. Ramdas Pai, who was actually personally driving the international programs. I have to acknowledge with gratitude his foresight. At a time when people knew nothing of clinical skills lab, when I told him we want a clinical skills lab as part of the curriculum, he said, go ahead. When he said, go ahead, it meant I could get it done. I didn't have to report to anyone else. We also had problem-based learning. We didn't know anything about it. When I went and told him, we need to train our people in problem-based learning, he said, go ahead. This is the encouragement and support I received from the university. I didn't have anyone in between. I had a direct reporting to the Chancellor, and it made such a difference as we moved forward to implement this. And I have to acknowledge his understanding and his foresight in making all this happen. That was also the time when self-directed learning, that is, activities other than listening to lecture, these were being encouraged. And we generously implemented this in the program, and we published it as self-directed learning. This article basically says the different self-directed learning activities that enabled us to have the students involved. Another experiment we did was blunder lecture. When we lecture, we assume that we talk sense. Can you talk nonsense and make the student recognize what is nonsense? In other words, the deliberate errors that you make when you give a lecture, not easy, and making the students pick it up. We call that as blunder lecture, and we published that as well. There was a criticism, it has been there for a long time, that we teach too much in basic sciences. There's too much of anatomy, too much of physiology, too much of biochemistry. Is it possible for us to prune and focus on what is really relevant in the context of their learning? And that is how this article emerged, the anatomy that must be taught to medical undergraduate. This, of course, the same could apply to the other subject as well. In anatomy, we had a system where senior students teach junior students. And these students become teachers to junior students. We call this as anatomy prosection. We were able to convert that into a publication, which we called as merit-based rearrangement of students for better interactions. So this was a publication basically documenting prosection in anatomy. Came the next era of learner perception and curriculum evaluation. That was also the time when we had the Malacca Manipal twin campus program, where Malaysian students spend 2.5 years in the Manipal campus and then go to Malaysia to do their clinical training and complete the program. So this program happening after the West Indies program commenced helped us in a big way, because we could implement all the innovations in medical education with the Malacca program. And this publication basically focused on the innovative practices that, in fact, it was an international partnership not done before. It was something totally novel, and we went ahead with this. Students acquired generic skills, basically about working in a team, leading a group, being a scribe, things which normally they would not get a chance to learn. They got to learn as part of the problem-based learning curriculum. So these were the generic skills and attitudes which we were able to see. Students who were very timid, very silent, reluctant to speak, they transformed themselves in a year's time to become very vocal, and they are able to work in a team and also sometimes function as a scribe or a group leader. At that time, we were also looking at how students learn. And this publication in medical education, learning approaches to physiology of undergraduates in an Indian medical school, was basically to look at the way students learn. Along with that came what is known as the dream inventory, because we needed to know what is the environment that we have in a medical school. And dream inventory was used primarily to ascertain that. And this was a publication that looked at the perceptions of academic achievers, and the dream inventory gave us a chance to not only do that in a medical school, we also did that in the dental school. So the dream inventory was really a inventory primarily to look at the learning environment in a medical school. Do what you will. Ultimately, it is the environment that will make learning happen. We also looked at what are the attributes of effective teachers. It was the belief that the most effective teacher is a good communicator. He has tremendous knowledge and so on. But really, when we did this study in our university, we found the single most important attribute of a teacher, according to what the students want is the care and concern that the teacher has. Everything else came secondary. Right on top of paramount importance, the students voted for was the care and concern the teacher had for me. Me, in the sense, the students felt that if the teacher has that care and concern, that's what matters most. All others are probably important, but it's not as important as this. It was an eye-opener to us in many ways. We also tried to inculcate principles of research, and mentored student project is basically an opportunity for a student to do a small research project under the guidance of a teacher. And the student gets to present this at the end of the semester. And this mentored student project was converted into a publication. This is what we did, and an attempt to inculcate research skills very early in their student career. We had quite a few publications on this. This was another article in the same mentored student project, how we could foster research skills in undergraduate medical students. Yet another one on how research essentials were given to students in their early years. In the Malacca Manipal Medical College program, we thought rather than punishing and taking a punitive attitude towards attendance, let us incentivize. We used to encourage students and award students who used to get 100% attendance. You won't believe it, 30 to 40% of our students used to attend every single class. And we used to have this recognition during the college day when this 100% attendance, you won't believe the enthusiasm and challenges of 75% attendance was not there, because most of them are aiming for 100%. They want to get that 100% attendance. It just is a change, an approach that is different. Instead of trying to be punitive, let us try to incentivize attendance. And that is what we converted into an article, Attendance and Achievement in Medicine, investigating the impact of attendance policies on academic performance of medical students. Came the next decade of self-determined learning. This is the age where pedagogy, which happens in school, is no longer wanted. Andragogy is also vanishing. Today, it is pedagogy, basically self-determined learning, where learner maturity and autonomy is more and instructor control is least. He wrote a paper on this, pedagogic approach to developing capable learners. This came in Medical Teacher, basically to let teachers know that today you can no longer live in pedagogy and andragogy. You must be prepared to live in pedagogy. Another article, Pedagogy through Facebook for Millennial Learners, also on this topic of pedagogy, basically to create that awareness about the need for us as teachers to relook at the way we function as academics. It was also the time when we started talking more about formative assessment. And in the programs that we were conducting, the medical education workshops, we used to talk about the importance of formative assessment and the maxims of formative assessment. And I have to, at this point of time, go back to the period 1995-2000, when Professor A. Krishna Rao, whom you can see, he used to talk about formative assessment, and we hardly understood what he was talking. He used to say formative assessment, formative assessment, formative assessment. And we didn't really register what he was trying to say. Those were the days when formative assessment was not spoken about, nobody knew about it. much later, almost 20 years later, we published this article, 10 Maxims of Formative Assessment. But I must, with reference, remember Professor A. Krishna Rao, who used to talk so much about formative assessment. Eventually, of course, we got this published as a paper, this as the 10 Maxims of Formative Assessment. I used to do workshops in medical education along with a colleague of mine, Dr. Sudhakar Naik. He used to say, you have the best curriculum, you have the best teaching learning methods, you may have the best assessment, but if you don't have the safe learning environment, all your effort is futile. And that which we used to do in the workshop, we converted into an article, which we called as safe learning environment. What are the 10 maxims to create a safe learning? If the environment is safe, student will learn. So no matter how good your teaching, learning, how good your curriculum and assessment is, if you don't have the safe learning environment, you will not be able to have the desired impact. So this was the article on safe learning environment, which was actually a part of the workshops that we used to do. Came COVID-19, and we were struck by the fear of the unknown. I was struck by the fear of what is going to happen. Xenophobia. That is the first thing that hit me when COVID came. Second was fear of technology. I could not take an online lecture. Till then, I had no idea how to take a class online. And I was hit by the fear of technology, technophobia. I also knew listening to me, watching me online are my students who are probably much more computer savvy. And I had this fear of being judged. I call this the social phobia. Then, of course, we as teachers are so comfortable when we are with our students. But in the online scenario, you are alone, total, only the sound of silence. And that time, fear of isolation, isolophobia hit me. Also, what hit me was fear of high expectations. Administrators, parents, students, everyone says, come on now, deliver digitally. And expectations were high. And this is metathesiophobia. So the 5 fears that came as a result of COVID: xenophobia, unknown; techno, fear of technology; social phobia, fear of being judged; isolation, isolophobia; and of course, metathesiophobia, that the expectations are so high. Now, all this, he gave it a name. Covido-pedagophobia will encompass all these fears. Fears that happen in a teacher as a result of COVID striking us. And having written, this is all that I experienced. And all that I experienced, I documented. And when I documented, the next step was to send it for a publication. And you won't believe it, I sent it to medical education, one of the top journals in medical education. And they accepted. Normally, when you send anything to this journal, they are very prompt in rejecting. In 2 days, they will respond and say, thank you and best wishes, saying that your article is rejected. So the response came within 2 days. But the difference was they said, we are glad to accept your article. And that too, covido-pedagophobia. I wrote it more for fun. But they accepted it. And they published it with accelerated speed. They said this needs to be known to everybody. And they not only accepted it, they published it in a very short time. So this was something which was a very pleasant surprise. What we thought of as something which was for amusement, they took it quite seriously and wanted to share. But at that time, we felt it was not enough if we just say what the fears are. How do you get out of those fears? How do you help teachers who who are struggling with online activities to get out of it. And that's when we wrote another article, simple steps, 10 maxims for out of class learning to outclass the academic challenges of COVID-19. And that was basically about training, technique, tools, trial run, technical issues, transition, teacher preparation, teaching method, teamwork, testing, and training. So this was given as a checklist and it was available online. So this is the next step. Having recognized the fears, how to get out of those fears, how to overcome those fears. And that was this article, the 10 maxims, how to overcome, how to outclass the challenges of COVID. When I take lectures, I'm fond of using concept maps. Starting with one word in the center, I evolve the entire concept as I explain the concepts, because I felt concepts are important. Content anyway they can get, but if you can give the concept. And this used to happen over and over again. I thought I'll convert that into an article. Concept maps for teaching, training, testing, and thinking. This was an article that looked at all aspects of concept map use in various aspects of education. The National Medical Commission had mandated that all the medical colleges should have what is known as ATCOM module, Attitude, Ethics, and Communication module. And this has been running, and it had, of course, quite a bit of it ran during the COVID time. There was no attempt to really see the impact of this. So the article that you see here is actually the work of Dr. Veena Naik, currently the head of the Department of Medical Education at KMC Manipal, and the earlier head of the department, Dr. Kirtana, who took it upon themselves to look at the impact of patient communication module. So they and their team worked on this. I was only involved peripherally, but at least there was some documentation of the tangible impact of patient communication modules, basically the ATCOM module. Chat GPT came, and we were struck by this Chat GPT. And we were wondering what is going to happen to our functioning, normal functioning. Today, everything, you want to write a letter, you will ask Chat GPT. Every little thing you want to do, you want Chat GPT to do. When are you going to use your cognitive functions? And that's when this article, it's a Nature group journals which published this natural stupidity versus artificial intelligence, where is health professions education heading. It was also the time for us to relook at the oral examination. Oral examinations have been condemned as a ritual. With the arrival of artificial intelligence, we thought we'll give a new meaning to oral examination. When we give assignments, this happened in the university, in RMIT University in Melbourne, where students were using artificial intelligence for doing their assignments. So what is being suggested is that no doubt you submit your assignment, but you need to come and present your assignment, justify what you've written, let us know that you've understood. So basically, you are giving a new meaning to the oral examination. So giving a new meaning to that oral examination, because you have your assignments submitted, come with your assignment and justify and talk about it. So oral examination can have a new meaning, and that is what we indicated in this. Can we give a new approach, a new avenue for oral examination? Because our students are so dependent on AI. When they come and sit before you, you can ask them to explain, clarify, justify. These are things you can ask them to do. We often talk of mentoring, and we understand mentoring as a very senior person guiding a junior person. Today, we have to accept what is known as reverse mentoring. I have learned so much from juniors. It's not that all the time you need a senior person guiding a junior. I must acknowledge the support and the learning, reverse mentoring from Dr. Prashanti, who not only was a co-author in many of my articles, she was also doing workshops along with me. There is so much that I have learned. So also from Dr. Vinod Palath. Dr. Vinod Palath was the one actually who, at the time when I had that article on covidopedagophobia, it was he who said, send it to medical education. I told him, are you insane? They will send it back. He says, you just send it. Anyway, they won't let them send it back. You will get a reply in 2 days. Reply came in 2 days, but it was he who actually nudged me to send. I also must acknowledge the way he got me involved in a project which we had Malaysia, India, and East Africa had a project. And in that project, it was he who connected me to the people concerned. And this publication in the Lancet, which came as a result of that, is to a great extent his persuasion and his nudging, so to say. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes reverse mentors are very powerful, and we have to be open to accept, to learn from juniors. In fact, we learn much, much more from them if we are open and willing to receive. Traversing the 4 decades of medical education landscape, I have to acknowledge that I would never have compiled all these publications into these 4 categories, but for the organizers of this conference, iHeal 2025, when they gave me more than a month's notice and said, you have to come and give an oration. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about. At that time, I thought I will have a closer look at my publications, and I was able to compile all this only because they asked me to get this done. So I must actually acknowledge with gratitude, it was they who requested me to give the oration. And because they asked me, I had to think about something, and looking at these 83 publications, which I could put into different categories, it was primarily because of them. That is why I say, but for them, I would not have got a structure, a sequence for my publication journey. So when I look at my publications, basically, they are all in these areas. And broadly, thematically, these were the areas in which the publications were there. Traversing these 4 decades, it has been a very exciting journey. Inquiry, imagination, innovation, and most of all, the biggest impact has been on me. I have learned most in these 4 decades. It was a pleasure traversing these 4 decades. When I look back how it all started and what it is today, I cannot but wonder how it all happened. Thank you all for listening to me so patiently.
Thank you so much, sir. We are like overwhelmed with the expanse of literature that you could share in the last 30 minutes. So can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
So over to Ashwini to moderate the session.
Chattel question.
Not bad, honey. You know it.
If there are any questions, I kindly request the participants to raise their hands so that we can. Sir, am I
Yes.
audible?
Yeah, I cannot hear you. Yeah, please tell me.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes. Yeah.
So I kindly request the participants to just raise your hands if you all have any questions so that we can unmute and take the question one by one. Meanwhile, can we just address few of the questions if they are in the chat box?
Gita, give me the word, Gita.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Yeah.
Sir, hello, sir. This is Dr. Geeta here. I will
Yes.
read out the questions coming in the chat box.
Yes.
So, one of the questions is, can you reflect on your fellow pathologists' perception of your hard work in medical education? The skepticism, the acceptance. What is your
Yes.
take on that, sir?
Acceptance, yes. We will have that skepticism whenever you do anything different, anything new. There will be, but you have to go on. You have to go on doing what you love doing, and I think you will have to accept it. So don't expect everyone to applaud you when you do anything different. So
Okay, so that's a good one. And we have Dr. Bharti, sir. So, ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Dr. Bharti? Dr. Bharti, could you unmute yourself and you could go ahead and ask the question.
Hello.
yes,
Hello.
Yeah.
Morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
So thank you very much for walking us with you in your incredible journey from antiquity to artificial intelligence. In fact, it was completion of an intellectual activity throughout intelligence experimenting from the 1980s until date. Thank you very much, sir, for it. And one word, I think you could please mention about the professional and personal development sessions we had and publications about it also.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I agree with you. There is a component which is actually AdCom module. If you look at a personal and professional development module, which is more or less what the AdCom module is trying, attitude, ethics, and communication is trying to do. So we can call it, in the Malaysian system, we used to call it as the PPD module, the personal and professional development module. So it is necessary for them to grow in totality. So that is something which we believe is important in the growth of a medical student, or for that matter, any health professions student.
Thank you, sir. We have Harveen. Harveen, you could unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. Harveen had a question. Harveen, you could unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question. Okay. While we wait for Harveen to ask the question, there's another question in the chat box. Sir, they are asking if you could enlighten them about the challenges you faced during your publication process in high index journals.
Well, challenges are always there. And in the early years, of course, it was several months before you get even a reply from, that is, I'm talking of the first decade. Things gradually improved. Today, of course, everything you do online. So there are challenges. I don't think, I don't want to say that there are no challenges, but you have to be at it. And sometimes the unexpected happens. And that's exactly what happened for that article on covidopedagophobia. I didn't expect that article to be accepted. It was sent more for fun, and they took it seriously and published it. So sometimes keep trying. So there will be challenges, not easy to publish. But what I'm trying to say is, whatever you do, document. And what you document, you simply send for publication, which is what I have done. All that we have done in our educational journey. Everything that we did, we documented. Having documented, don't let it just lie there. Send it for a paper. And sometimes it will get published, sometimes it gets modified. So here's a chance for you to publish, because you're doing so many things. We are only not documenting it and sending it. Those are the two steps that we need to take care of.
Thank you, sir. So basically, it boils down to dogged determination and perseverance. So here's another question, sir. Could you suggest and elaborate on formative assessment of medical students by Dr. Mahendrapa, HOD Pediatrics, AIMS?
Yes, I mentioned to you in that article, if you just look at 10 maxims of formative assessment, I've mentioned about that. And today, if you see what is expected in our CBME curriculum, there's so much emphasis on formative assessment, basically giving feedback, allowing them to learn. That article on 10 maxims of formative assessment gives a fairly crisp view of formative assessment. So you can just Google that 10 maxims of formative assessment. You will be able to get that.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sudarshan, you could
Yes.
ask a question.
Very good morning, sir.
Yes.
So this is Dr. Sudarshan. I'm an assistant professor in Department of Pathology, sir. So I was following your videos in your Swayam Prabhu also. I watched almost all your videos. So, sir, in this my question is, in today's world, with lot of enormous information available through journals, online platforms, and AI tools, and with so much medical information available, what is the real role of a teacher? What unique value does a teacher still bring in the medical education?
The teacher will not vanish. In fact, I often say the living, loving teacher will always be looked up to by the student. If you can create that feeling in a student that there is something I will get from the teacher which I cannot get from a textbook, that I cannot get on the net, and that is where you will become relevant. Otherwise, it's not that we are going to vanish. It is up to us. A lot will depend on us, how we look at this whole student-teacher relationship and the way you want to cause learning. I think it is important for us to make them realize that as students, you can get something more from the teacher, which you cannot get from that. That's up to us. How we do it in your own unique way, it is for you to decide.
Sir, Dr. Sendil Kumar from Salem has a question for you. Can you give few suggestions on making interactive classes for this new generation, especially Gen Alpha and Gen Z?
There are so many articles written on this, how to make students more participative. And there are so many methods by which you can make them participate. But that's not the issue. That's all very easy. Then you get lost in that technical, all those, that is. But more than that, is it possible for you to look at students in such a way that you have an opportunity to interact? Don't miss that opportunity to interact. Let us not entirely depend on these things as well, because that opportunity to interact, opportunity to relate with one another will happen only when you are there in their presence. And I think that is also important. While it is possible, there's so many articles on how to generate student participation, but sometimes you get lost in the activity itself. The purpose for which you're doing it is forgotten.
True, sir. Right. Thank you, sir. So there's a question on YouTube. We're also live on YouTube. The question is, may I know, how do you see the arrival of artificial intelligence in medical education? You look at it as a threat or an opportunity?
It is definitely an opportunity. We cannot be, all these things are part of life. You have to accept it. How do we prudently, judiciously use artificial intelligence? I think that is what is important. It is not to be condemned. And if you feel threatened, it is actually your weakness. I don't think we should look at it positively. These are all things that will happen. And we cannot do anything to stop the flow or prevent this. So we have to accept it and use it judiciously and prudently. That's all. That's what we have addressed in that article as well. Natural stupidity versus artificial intelligence. How far can we go? And what are the precautions that we need to take care?
All right. So, when there is a limited OSPI bank, how do we prevent students from learning all the questions in the OSPI bank without them understanding the concept?
Yeah, then it becomes recall. If those questions have been seen before, it is no longer an objective structured practical exam. It is just recall. You have seen it before and you are able to. So it is up to you to create newer questions each time, or at least a different approach to it, because if you are going to reuse the same questions, there will definitely be, it will be something which they would have seen before, and it will be just, it'll be memory. I don't think they're going to apply their mind at all in solving it. So those concerns are there genuinely, but it all depends when you don't have large number of questions. If you have adequate number of questions, you can have some flexibility, make some changes. I think that should be possible.
Okay, the last but one question, sir. What are the other incentives that we can give for attendance? This is coming from Harveen.
No, about actually just recognizing them and rewarding. Tell them that we were just giving them a certificate of attendance for 100%, and they were looking forward to that. To them, it meant so much. Just simple recognition. Today, we only look at punitive measures. We only want to punish them when they don't get the 75%. What about those who get 95%? What about, we used to have a system where if you have more than 95% attendance, we have a system where if there are 4 internal assessment exams, we used to say, if you have more than 90% attendance, you can drop 1 internal. That means you can take the best 3. So you're incentivizing out of the 4 internal assessment examinations. If you have 90% attendance and above, then you can remove or discard the lowest scoring internal assessment mark. So that way they will try to attain at least 90%. That way they can drop one of the 4 exams when they calculate their internal assessment. Today, of course, internal assessment itself, the role of internal assessment, it's not added to the final, but I'm just giving an example how you can use attendance and link it to internal assessment.
Thank you, sir. So we have the final question coming from Dr. Suresh sir here, who is heading the Department of Pathology and our MU convener. Sir.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the 4 decades of experience in the medical education. Sir, my concern is in terms of assessments, where till today both the written test and practical test are based on cognitive domain.
Yes.
Today, though we call it as a practical test, most of them are, as you said rightly, that OSPI, OSCE and all, like a recall level. So where do you see that workplace-based assessment for the in Indian medical education? So when it is going to be reality?
Professor Tejinder has spoken so much about workplace-based assessment. In an ideal setting, you don't need to have an exam at the end of it. If you are assessing students continuously, regularly, fairly, objectively, I think nothing more is required. We don't need that final exam at all. If you can do a proper workplace-based and also give enough emphasis for daily training and activities, that will have to contribute to the final score, rather than that one final exam which they have to pass as it happens. But that will take some time because so many safeguards have to be built in if you need to have that. So what you're saying is correct. At this point of time, most of our assessment is at recall level. We have not gone to the high, though we say that we should have it at different levels.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, because of the time constraints, we are not able to take further questions. You can mail it to uchp@stuhr.com.in for and it will be directed to sir, and we will get back to you. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts, experience, journey in medical education. It was indeed very motivational, where experiences were converted into ideas, they were implemented, and further it was converted into publication for sharing of the information. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, today. Yeah, and I also thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. B. Vengamma ma'am,
for joining us today and for the unconditional support for conducting such webinars, which are very informative. And also, I thank the administrators and patrons of this academy for giving the support for conduct of such webinars and faculty development programs. And I thank one and all those who have joined us here and making it a very good experience. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, sir. Meanwhile, a feedback link has been shared in the chat box. I request all the participants to share your feedback. Thank you. And the certificates will be dispersed after the feedback. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
It is when you come here. No, it was nice for me also to decades ago.